Are we ready, bro? Okay. Waiting for more people. Hey, Julian, are we ready? Can you guys hear me? Julian.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, are we getting started, or are we still waiting for more people?
I think we're good to go. I think since the spaces are, since this chat's being recorded.
All right, what's up, guys? It's fun to do another one of these AMAs, especially after the bonding curve launch. Very successful. Appreciate everybody that partake. All right. So what is Julian, can you get on the mic, please?
Yeah, I'm thinking the format is people jump in, ask questions in the AMA channel, and then we read those, we get those answers, and then we move forward from there. How does that sound?
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to read the questions out loud that get posted in the AMA channel and then answer them.
Yeah, or I can read them. What's easiest for you?
Yeah, maybe if you read them, it kind of makes it a little bit more organic.
Yeah, it's not just like you reading questions and answering your own questions.
Yeah, for sure.
So actually, before we get into the questions, because I sourced a bunch of questions for those who couldn't make this, but if you want to give a quick recap of the launch and how that went, I think people would like to hear about that.
Yeah. So we've been building nonstop all year on base for ACES.fun. We're now going to be officially known as the Ace of Base because we are the Ace on the base chain. And we are very close to a lot of milestones. So we were ready to launch the ACES token, which is the reserve currency and the routing token that's needed to partake and participate in all of these rare collectibles that we're going to be launching. So we did a fair launch. Again, there was no insider rounds, KOLs, or VCs, or anything along those lines. And within 24 hours, we fully sold out. I mean, we thought, maybe we wanted to take a week. We're kind of flying under the radar. We're not trying to do crazy marketing or trying to promote stuff that's not ready. We want to build a real organic community, and we all build from here together. So successfully sold out. If you didn't get in, that's okay, because we're going to be launching the liquidity pair here within a week. So all of what goes into a fair launch, if you guys know Pump Fun, you bond, you take the bond, you put it into liquidity, and then you have a token economy. So that's where we're at. I appreciate everybody that participated. We're going to make something really special, this time around, and with ACES. Already a lot of great support, a lot of great items, a lot of great people, a lot of great connections. Very excited for this community to really flourish and take off. All right, so let's dive into the AMA.
Yeah, let's get it. Yeah, it's nice to know that the launch went well. Something that people are very curious about is because obviously there's plenty of places you can launch a token, like Sol was the hype. So what was the logic behind Base, and is the ACES team in contact with Base, or are we just kind of launching on them? Do we have Base support?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'll give you my logic first. So, for those who've known me, I've been around for 10 years or longer. I was one of the first people building on Ethereum. I was one of the first, if not the first person to mint an NFT before it became even popular. And, the biggest issue has always been, throughput or scalability, transactions per second. And then how do we get this to the masses? How do we get retail? And when I say retail, I don't even mean traders. How do we get the normie people that are everyday users of Web2 into Web3? And that's been something that's been plaguing this whole ecosystem, blockchain specifically, since basically Bitcoin launched or Ethereum launched. I've been dabbling with a lot of L2s. So back in 2017, I built my own state channel, which is even before L2s. Then we built our own L2, and then Polygon was pretty popular back then, and then Casper was pretty popular back then. None of those really kind of took off. There's a lot of user experience issues, and just a lot of state issues with building those chains and finality and how do you protect them and secure. There's always been the issue, and this has gone to the Bitcoin community. It's oh yeah, we built Lightning, but it's not really Bitcoin if it's on Lightning because of the finality. So there's always been that debate. Fast forward to 2021, 2022, I started looking into things like Polkadot, which promised to do a lot of great things. And unfortunately, as we kind of all know, like Polkadot's been very difficult to use. Their wallet systems are very difficult to use. They still haven't gotten any type of mainstream adoption. Hopefully they figure it out. Pretty cool looking project, but just not for the masses, in my opinion. And there was a lot of other ones like Avalanche, and I could go on and on. We all know all the top coins, all the all the chains, layer ones or layer twos, trying to figure it out, doing different techniques, and that's good for this industry. We all need a ton of these projects out there doing and innovating in a lot of different ways, and not all of them are going to win, but we're all going to learn from one another, and that's going to create a direction. ZK Zinc has been one of my favorite technologies, zero proof knowledge rollups. Optimism has come out, and a lot of these things. Unfortunately for them, they've had a lot of UX issues as well, and specifically working with like ZK Zinc, pretty cool. But then there's like some other ZK snarks. There's other teams using snarks instead of Starks. Sorry, this is all like nerd talk. But essentially, all of those have user experience problems as well. And one of the biggest issues is that all of these L2s require you to use another native coin, right? Like there's the Optimism coin, there's an OP coin. There's now even a ZK Zinc coin. That's more for governance, but there's a coin for there, which creates the user experience to be really difficult, because then you got to have like Ethereum and you got to have like ZK Zinc, and then you want to kind of like have to go back and forth, and it's kind of like a really cumbersome process. So when Base came out, I loved Base because there was no token. I was like, wow, okay, great. It kind of acts more like a state channel rather than like an L2, but it's an L2. It's not fully decentralized, but it's a good medium between like the sequencer. There's only like basically one, but it's a good balance between having the throughput and still having the finality and the security of settling things on Ethereum. Now, the biggest thing that got me most excited was as I started to talk to more people from the Base team and ecosystem, talking to other founders who've been building. Their biggest news just rolled out 2 months ago was that Base is going to be listing all of the Base altcoins. Any token that's built on Base will be listed on Coinbase.com. I mean, go Google it and go put it on YouTube. You could get tons of people that are talking about, if you're building on Base, your token will be on Coinbase.com, and the 150 million users that are on Coinbase's exchange will have access to all of the Base DEX tokens. And they're building a very, very elegant solution that you could trade DEX tokens on Coinbase without you actually having to convert any monies or anything, just like you would buy in a centralized exchange by you buying from a DEX. That got me really excited because, I think that's where the retail is today. And I feel that the way that Coinbase is building and marketing and building the Base chain, and then bringing all of the Base ecosystem to Coinbase, and they have the ability to do that because they own Coinbase.com and they built Base. That made me really bullish on building on Base. So now, for instance, for ACES specifically, not only is the ACES token going to be available on Coinbase.com, and again, that's not up to me, that's up to Base, but they've already announced it, they've already said it. I have other founder friends who've been building on Base and they're on Coinbase.com, but they've only gone into 5% of their user base right now. So over the next few months, we're going to get closer to 100% penetration on Coinbase, and through that, ACES will be available to all of their users. Now, it gets even more interesting because if you guys did your homework and read our white paper, you're understanding that ACES is basically a launch pad for rare collectibles. We launched rare collectibles as a token economy. So they have their own ERC20 token. You could trade it, and it's paired with ACES. So one of the first items we have is going to be a AP Cause watch. That watch will be paired with ACES. So we have a Cause AP/ACES pair. And that pair is also on the Base DEX, which means that that Cause watch will be available for purchase for people that are browsing on Coinbase.com whenever they roll it out fully and come out of beta. And that has significant penetration and adoption for ACES. And my thesis is, if you're on Coinbase.com, and there's a couple like Ski Mask Dog and Brett and all these other like fart coins or whatever that all these meme coins that are out there. If a user, older user in Coinbase, they already bought their Ripple, they already have bought their Bitcoin, they already bought their Solana, Ether, whatever. Now they kind of want to get into more of the blockchain ecosystem, buy some alts or memes. They're going to look at, oh, I could buy a fart coin, or I could buy a cause watch. They're going to, in my opinion, gravitate towards something that is familiar to them and doesn't seem kind of like a little scam or completely fucking crazy. Like a person that's went to MBA school, 50 years old, has a couple of kids, their kids are graduating college. I'm not sure they're going to want to pull the trigger on a fart coin, but for an AP cause or a Ferrari or something familiar to them, they're more likely to purchase that. I mean, time will tell if that thesis will come true, but that's what I believe, that's what I know, and that's the way we're building it. So this is why I'm really bullish on building on Base. Outside of all of that, that's more on the marketing and adoption side. But from a technical perspective, their EVM is great. It's very similar to building on Solidity on Ethereum. There's some minor differences, but we've had a really good time building. Jesse, I've been connected to him through a couple of my friends. He's very supportive of all the builders on Base, and I am very well connected now to the head of ecosystem and a few other people in the DeFi space for the Base ecosystem. Also, I was just at CoinFest in Bali, met up with Vivian and a few other people that are heads of Indonesian Base team. So yeah, they're very friendly. I think they're very developer friendly, which is what made Apple really take off. If you guys know the history of like the Apple iPhone, and they started catering towards developers and making developer tools that are very easy for developers to build in the Apple ecosystem. And look at what they're at. I believe that Base is doing the same thing. They're pouring tons of money into their tooling and documentation that makes it easy for us to build. So very, 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 very grateful and happy to be in the Base ecosystem. For their adoption strategy by taking all of the Base tokens and putting on the Coinbase.com exchange. Also from their technical perspective, all the documentation and making easy, anybody that understands Ethereum could build on Base fairly easily and without a lot of changes. So hopefully that gives you an answer, Eric, but that was pretty thorough.
Yeah, that was. So it sounds like Base is the easiest to build on, but more importantly for retail, they're likely to do well in the future, and that's something great for ACES to leverage. You mentioned the first product being listed is going to be the AP Cause Watch, which I think is a great choice. How big is the product pipeline, and are there any other products lined up to be listed?
Yeah. The list has exponentially grown in the past 2 weeks. I mean, at first we probably had like $50 million worth of items sourced and ready to go, but that's exploded to over $1 billion. I've gotten Damien Hirst and Banksy's. I have like literally so many Banksy's lined up. So like we have a big pipeline right now. We're just working out the sequence, how we could do it. We're new. We need to start slow and grow and learn and really make sure that we could promote and make these products shine. So the way we're going to launch is going to be, pretty conservative. We'll do a few in the first few weeks, so like maybe one a week. Make sure that all the technical UX, UI, and everything else is working properly, and then we're going to start opening up the floodgates. But yeah, we already have some of the teasers of the items on our website right now. So if you go to ACES.fun and you kind of scroll around, you can kind of get an idea and sense of what type of products that we're going to be able to source. But we have a major big pipeline of items that are available through there are some private equity firms that have acquired some smaller collections over in Europe, and they're looking, what can they do with a lot of these art or collectibles. So I met up with the guy who does the private equity. He lives in Germany, and he actually is doing something really fascinating. He's becoming the authority layer for tokenizing the RWAs, the collectibles market, and getting a certificate. So we're working with them to kind of see how we could create the authority. So when someone mints with ACES, they actually have a a certificate of authenticity that's been approved by a governing body, like a government that says, yeah, this is it. And like Europe is kind of interesting because it's not just Germany, but there's MiCA. So if you guys are familiar with like the whole MiCA regulations, MiCA is like the governing body for all of Europe, anything token or blockchain related. So they're tapped in with that. So there's a lot of major things that we're going to do. But yeah, we have over $1 billion worth of items now at our fingertips. And it's just a matter of sequencing and having all these items come out over the next few months as we get this ball rolling.
Nice. Yeah, $1 billion is a really good number to start with. But since we're talking about the product, how does the product even work from the point of view of a item seller, token trader, and the buyer?
Yeah, so great question. I think the thing here, and this is what I learned in my previous startups. I was doing a lot of e-commerce for the past 15, 20 years. First in Web 2 when I was working at Deloitte, and then, through a few different companies in the Web 3 space since 2016, 17. And, really blockchain removes intermediaries, right? So that's like the main value proposition. So if you have a buyer and a seller, you remove the need for a middleman, right? And then you can have a peer-to-peer transaction. And this is why, people talk about blockchain, completely revolutionizing the banking system, because the reason why we need a bank is that the bank will make sure that money gets debited out of my account and credited into someone else's account. And they're like the third party that makes sure that happens. But what unfortunately happened is we gave them so much power, they could see all the money moving around, and they exploited that, right, to use it against the users. And they've done like a lot of censorship and selling our data and using it against us to do things that we really didn't want to do. So blockchain was supposed to solve that, which it did. But the problem is, then you have a third party, which is retail traders. And like, well, how did they fit into a platform when there's a buyer and a seller and you're removing that intermediary? So blockchain, you don't need a token to do a lot of things on the blockchain. But if you want to build an economy, sometimes a token may be needed, not all the time. So with ACES specifically, let's go with the easier part. A seller would have to go to an auction house and they would have to pay up to like 40% sometimes, because they take a lot of money for them to be able to promote and find a buyer or and that kind of changes based on if they're doing an auction or if they're just listing on their website, right? So it's up to 40%, sometimes 50 or 60. If you're like kind of like a newer artist and you're not really well known, you don't have the leverage to make that type of thing. So from a seller's perspective, selling on ACES is going to be a lot less. From 5 to 10% is kind of like the area. Up to 10% is kind of what we're charging. So listing something on ACES is going to be significantly cheaper for a seller. So that's point number one. From a buyer's perspective, since it's going to be cheaper, they don't have to inflate the price to be able to make a certain number. So it's going to also make it cheaper for the buyer. Now, depending on what the item is, there's going to be who has the bargaining power, the buyer, the seller, and they could duke it out on a marketplace. That's free market economics. We don't get involved. They figure it out. So it benefits both, right? Because the prices will be cheaper since the system costs less, and that's the beauty of using the blockchain. But then there's the third group of people, which are traders. Well, how did they benefit on this? And if you look at a lot of token economies out there, a lot of the traders, they're basically trading memes, right? Because like the token isn't needed for a trader, right? The token is just needed for a buyer or seller or a peer-to-peer transaction to occur. So what happens with the trader? They're just basically trading on like it's a PvP game, other people are buying it or random marketing or whatever like that. There is nothing solid for that trader to do. And this is where ACES comes in, and this is what we really innovated on. I've been building token economies and architecting them for 10 years. And, there are some of the ones I built before. At the time, I did the best I could with the resources and knowledge and information I had. But this is how you learn, right? So we've built some things and they were good for at the time in 2017 and 2021. But we've learned a lot more, and we're at a place right now that I feel like we kind of could thread that needle between the peer-to-peer and retail. So retail in the ACES ecosystem now, when we do a IPO for a product, and we call it an initial product offering, so we we're able to tokenize a asset, an RWA collectible, as a ERC20 token with tokens, so that retail can now speculate on the future price and sale of this item. So it's tied to the hype and the availability and the demand of this item on the secondary market. And now, while you're trading in this and you're speculating on this, you have upside, right? Because if the item sells for a higher amount, then you're going to be making more money. And if it doesn't, then obviously there's downside. But then at the same time, when the item sells on a marketplace, part of that fee will go back to the token holder. So there's a lot of ways that you're going to be able to participate as a trader and be able to make money because there's a speculation market tied to that. Now, the cool thing about this is the speculation market is going to create a very, very major advantage for ACES, more than anybody else. I'm gonna leak this right now. I'm gonna drop it into the AMA channel. So I'm gonna give you guys a lot of alpha on this. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. All right, I posted a slide in the AMA channel, so I'm going to go over it right now. So let's say we have an item that the real world value is 480,000, for instance, the Cause AP watch, and let's say the token market cap. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be 6.3 million, but whatever the number is, 1 million, 10 million, 500,000, whatever it is, it's going to be trading at a multiple. So if anybody knows about stocks, there's something called the PE ratio, right? So it's the price to earning ratio. And what that essentially tells you is that, okay, hey, the stock is worth $1, and let's say it's because they're making $1 million in revenue. But if they think that the future value of that stock is also going to be $1 million, so then it's 1-to-1, so you get a 1 PE ratio. That makes sense. But like Tesla, for right now, they're trading at like a 200 PE ratio, which is ridiculous. So basically they're saying that, hey, Tesla's only making $1 million a year, but we think that they're going to be making $200 million a year, so 200 times what their current earnings are. So the stock is priced at a 200 times premium than what it should be based on earnings. So the way that ACES looks at these rare collectibles in the speculation market is exactly the same. So we're looking at a product that's worth $480,000, and let's say the token market cap is trading at 6.3 million. Then we have something called an ACES ratio, which is like a PE ratio, which we take the token market cap of the item divided by the real world value, and we get a hype premium. This is going to create a real-time hype index. So we're going to be able to rank all of these collectibles based on the ACES ratio, and we're going to know which one has more hype and more cultural relevance today in real time than any other product. And this is gold, because we are going to have 24/7 data points that signal that we're going to be able to understand cultural trends in real time, whereas the auction houses or any of these other marketplaces, they only have a few data points because these items don't sell, every day or every week, let alone every year. So Christie's might have like 2 or 3 data points on a collectible. We're going to have millions and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of data points that we're going to be able to understand what's happening. So what does that do? That's going to give us power, because we're going to know what's going to happen in the markets before anybody else. We're basically turning this into a predictions market on cultural trends. That data could then be used by Christie's or any other auction houses to be able to source the products that people want. So this is just going to make the whole collectibles and art market a lot more efficient, because we're going to be able to source the items that people want. And we're going to know that through the token market cap to the real world asset, which we're calling the ACES ratio. We're going to know the hype premium on all these products, and we can rank all the collectibles and say, hey, these collectibles have a higher hype premium, which means that they're going to be able to sell, and there's more demand for this item in the marketplaces. So all of this means that a seller can earn yield when they're selling something, which is great because these items are liquid. So the seller gets a percentage of the trading fees that come along with this. So this is why they want to list their products on ACES. They're like, wait a second, I could list my product and start earning yield when I want to sell it. I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh my God, sign me up. Because it works the other way around. When you go to Christie's, they're like, oh, okay, give us a ton of money or deposit or whatever for us to get this listed. Also, a lot of art, people who have art, they have to send their art to like a gallery or auction house or a museum to be able to make money from it. And that's a pain in the ass. Now they could earn yield by just tokenizing it on ACES.fun. A buyer will now get access to all of these awesome items at cheaper prices. Also, they could spend crypto to buy it. They don't have to fumble through fiat or all this kind of cumbersome processes to making purchases. So if you're a crypto native user, and now the seller could market to Web3 buyers, and Web3 buyers who want to buy and spend their crypto have a way to do it through ACES. And then retail, they benefit from all of this because now they could speculate on the future prices of these items. And it's all backed by real world assets and their future value. So it's not like a meme coin that you're trading. And also there's going to be a way for these retail traders to make money, even if the product token market cap is going down, because it's backed by a real world value and a transaction that could happen. If the transaction happens, that they get paid. So it's a really well thought out ecosystem that solves the problem for buyers, sellers, and retail with a token economy that makes sense, that helps make this whole collectibles market more efficient, more transparent, and accessible to anybody. Because typically, if you wanted to buy any of this type of like collectible art, first of all, you might have to have millions of dollars, which not everybody does. Second of all, even if you did, if you wanted to participate on this, you need to be an accredited investor, which then that like cuts out a lot of people. But with ACES, you could be part of culture and partake in your favorite items and make money while you're doing it, all at your comfort of whatever amounts that you could afford, right? So it's basically, if I could afford only a few bucks, I could buy a few bucks of something. If I could afford a few thousand or a few $100,000, I could do that. I don't have to front the whole cost of that item for me to be part of the favorite products that exist in this world.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely super interesting. We keep talking about the token, and I've read that the token is a reserve currency. Would you mind going into more detail about what exactly the token does and what being a reserve currency means and why it's good for us all?
Yeah. So the way we architected ACES is that, when we're creating these token economies, we didn't want to pair it with ETH because ETH has a lot of other variables or factors that could manipulate the price. So we needed something that had true value and captured the true value within the collectibles market, which is the ACES token. So what ACES does now, what the reserve currency means is that anytime you want to purchase any of these collectible items, you have to have ACES. Now, from a user perspective, like that might be kind of like, oh my God, I have ETH, I have to go buy ACES and come back. That might be cumbersome. So what we did is we built a router contract that says you could come in with any EVM, ERC20 coin, or Ethereum, so USDT, USDC, or any of your favorite altcoins you could have, like Chainlink or whatever you guys have that's an ERC20 token. You could go and buy, let's say, the Cause Watch with whatever crypto ERC20 EVM that you have, and it will automatically convert it to ACES, and then ACES will go buy that token for you, and everything routes through the ACES token. So people could spend any currency they want. It will all route through ACES, and then ACES will then be paired with that token, and you get that token back. Now, this does two things. All the transactions are getting routed through ACES, and ACES is the mechanism that we take the trading fees out of to pay the sellers. So there is a revenue perspective made through this, and also part of that fee comes to the ACES team, and this is how we're also making revenue. A lot of token economies don't know how to make revenue, right? You're just kind of hoping that the token go up in price and you sell tokens, and then that's how you make money. ACES actually has a revenue model built in from day one. So not only the sellers, but the ACES ecosystem and team are going to be able to create revenue without impacting, the rest of the token economy. So there's a revenue path in there that's really, really important for the ACES ecosystem to flourish and build a treasury and be able to continue on doing what we're doing in perpetuity, right? So it's not just like, oh, we raised some money from VCs, or, oh, hey, we have some tokens that we're just going to sell to make some money, but that's going to all end at some point. You need to make money. And ACES is making money based on the reserve currency and the trading fees because it is a reserve currency. And on the flip side, when we're creating these pairs, so like let's say with the Cause Watch, you're going to need ACES sucked out of circulation paired with the Cause token. And that's going to create a supply shock, right? Because as the more and more items are listed, the more and more ACES gets out of circulation to create this. So what we're doing is creating a liquidity provisioning. So we provide not only a reserve currency that's going to act as the mechanism that's going to create revenue for sellers and the ACES team, but we're also creating liquidity provisioning where we're sucking out ACES out of supply to be able to provision the liquidity markets for all of these assets. So, these two specific things is going to make ACES one of the fucking greatest token economies and token architectures ever made. Now, is it going to be the best 5 or 10 years from now? I don't know, probably, but wink, wink. But based on all information, resources, and knowledge we know, I truly believe, and I know that ACES is the best token architecture for everything I just explained right now.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to have a great token. This is the last question I have from the people who hit me up earlier. So if anyone else has any questions, just drop them in the AMA channel and get to those. But what's the long-term vision for ACES?
Yeah, the long-term vision for ACES is to democratize access to all these collectibles to the masses. There's tons of people like me, myself, like I'm a collector. I mean, yeah, it's pretty well known that I have a Bored Ape. So like, yeah, I got into NFTs. But I have some watches and some jewelry and cards and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I never really got into the art market because I love Shepherd Fairies. I go to Be on the Streets, Damien Hirst and Bang, all those things. I love it. But they're like $50 million, hundreds of millions of dollars. I can't afford it. Right. So for me, like as somebody who wants to get into this market, I just never really cared because I was like, I can't even afford it. But now we're able to capture that soul, that story, that poem. And I think that's poetry, that's beauty. And today, especially with AI and everything's just like quickly generated or whatever, or like fast fashion or fast made, that stuff is overtaking the soul of items that we've been building over the past few thousand years as humanity. In fact, because of AI and people are able to build things quickly or art quickly, I think there's going to be more premiums placed on people who actually build art with their physical hands. And I want everybody to be able to access and be part of that and understand the culture, because that's what makes humans human. Like if you look back throughout all of history, you could look at any decade and you could be like, what type of clothes did they wear, right? That's also culture, right? And you'll be able to understand humanity and how they evolved. And if you're shutting out most of the community because they can't afford this shit and it's only towards the elites, that sucks. That we're not going to be cultured and understand the type of perspectives that these artists are going to be able to curate and build for us. This is going to democratize it for everybody. So it doesn't matter if you have hundreds of millions of dollars or only a few dollars in your bank, you're going to be able to partake and be part of culture, and hopefully make some money doing it too.
Yeah, that sounds like a great system. Making money off of culture is good, and it'll be beneficial just to be on top of those things. And we got some questions from the community, and thank you to everyone who sent me those questions. It's actually really helpful, and I hope you got all the answers. So from 1 second.
Yeah, I could start reading some of the questions in the chat. Right. So do you want me to do that, Eric? Just go through the questions in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be easiest.
Yeah. Okay. On what DEX will you deploy to LP? We're having some conversations. It's either going to be Aerodrome or Uniswap. Haven't decided one or the other, maybe both. But follow us at ACES.fun, ACES.fun on Twitter. You'll know there specifically as the source of truth. Whereas if you hear it from anybody else, it's not going to be. Don't listen. So only from the ACES Twitter. There's another question that comes up. The token address in the white paper comes up on Uniswap with the warning. yeah, it's because we haven't deployed liquidity yet. So there is no liquidity on Uniswap or Aerodrome. We've only done the bonding curve. All the addresses on the bonding curve are public. It's also in our white paper. You can see that all the funds are just sitting there. So whenever we're ready to move to liquidity, it'll happen within a week. So sometime by this time next week, we will have liquidity in either Aerodrome or Uniswap, and that warning will go away because we've already verified a contract. You could go look at this on Basescan. We're working with CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko and the Basescan team to get all our stuff populated. Once all of that stuff has kind of been completed, then we'll deploy the liquidity pool, and you won't be getting any of that warning signs on Uniswap or Aerodrome. Yeah, again, remember, the token is not tradable yet. It won't be tradable for like another week until we deploy the liquidity, but you can look on the bonding curve contract to see that all the liquidity is already set. So, we already have about I think $200,000 worth of liquidity already lined up from the bonding curve. So we'll have a pretty liquid market once we start deploying that into the liquidity pools. All right, next question is from Sander. When the asset auction finds a buyer, the white paper suggests no KYC, but a cascade if the highest bidder doesn't pay up. How do you make sure the buyer is not sanctioned? So what we do is we KYC the sellers and everything along those lines. What you're asking, is like sanctioned in terms of like crypto. Like, think about it this way. When I go onto eBay and I want to buy something on eBay, I don't really do, crazy KYC or anything along those lines. So from a marketplace, we're just a marketplace connecting a buyer and a seller. When a buyer comes in, they put in bids. It's up to the seller to do their homework and decide which bid they want to take. We're just the platform that provides services to connect these two people. But ultimately, it's up to the seller for them to, agree. There's going to be a little like chat, emails, whatever they could do. The seller will decide on who they want to sell it to. They take on the responsibility from there. According to the white paper, the bidder selection process will be considered to the highest and second bidder, then first come, first serve. How do you prevent Sybil attacks? I think a Sybil attack is if you start pretending to be somebody that you're not. So we've thought about this too, where you're going to have to hold ACES tokens to be able to make a bid. That means that not everybody can just come make tons of bids. Again, this falls under the seller. As time goes on, we'll see how people are kind of like trying to game the system, and then we'll be able to make more and more advances in protecting our ecosystem. This won't really impact retail. This is more for the seller and the transaction that's going to happen. So as of right now, like I said, the seller will have to do the due diligence. We make sure that the items that are getting sourced are authenticated. We have an authentication process where we use biometrics and document OCR through bill of sale or certificate of authenticity to ensure that the seller is actually the owner of this product that they're listing. And then for when bids come in, as of right now, we're letting all the bids come in. But if we see that it's starting to get abused, then we might implement, like I said, to prevent Sybil attacks. I mean, Ripple sent through that from I don't call more men, but if have people knowing what question. Oh, can you guys hear me? Let's see.
Yeah, now you're much better, but for the past like 30 seconds, you're glitching up pretty hard.
Oh, okay. So hopefully you understood about the Sybil attacks and everything like that. Basically, we want more bids to come in, and we're pretty lax. But if we see that buyers are abusing the system by putting in fake accounts to be able to put up more bids or try to bid up something, then we could prevent that from happening by adding a little mechanism of holding aces in order for you to make a bid. And we could determine how many aces that's going to create. So there's going to be a little bit of a friction to prevent Sybil attacks from happening. And I was saying, more questions, type them in. We got about like 10, 15 minutes before we wrap up. We got a good amount of people in here. Like, I don't know, like maybe like 20 people. So type your questions away. All right. So if the bonding curve brought in through 100K, there's 120 left. If you combine them in the LP, the starting price way above the price at the end of the bonding curve, are you scared that holders will offload? I'm not scared. I mean, I'll buy it. We're just getting started. Pretty much the people that knew, we didn't really market this, and I did this intentionally. We're not trying to create hype and get people getting in to like buy quickly and sell quickly or anything like that. Anybody that got in during the bonding curve understands what we're doing, understands the bigger picture, understands everything. This is what made a lot of these meme coins get to the $1 billion market cap, is that they curated a good community from the beginning, and we have that here. So I'm not worried about the JEETs. And if a few people do JEET, that's fine. You need people selling. I'm not worried about that. Yeah, the other opportunity, you missed the launch. Is there another opportunity? The other opportunity is when we go go to market and create the LP pool. We're going to be at around an 800K market cap. So send your 800 market cap, you're taking profits, great. But there's nowhere to go besides up from there. There's no insider rounds. There's no VC rounds. There's no KOL rounds. We're not starting at a $20 million FDV or anything crazy like that. Like 800K is literally, at the bottom. I don't think anybody's going to be selling. In fact, there are people I could see on this list that wanted to buy more and they couldn't because there wasn't enough in the bonding curve to buy. So there's a lot of capital deployed on the sidelines waiting for the liquidity pool to come in to buy from there. Yeah. Kenny's saying right. Like we're starting under $1 million market cap, this isn't even a 500 million or 20 million market cap. People I could see that they want to sell because they got tokens at 500K or 200K market cap. But everybody has gone in. Even if you're buying when we go to the liquidity pool, you're getting it under $1 million market cap. Yeah, and that's another thing. All of the tokens are fully unlocked from day one. There's no supply shocks, no sell shocks, no fucking artificially inflated numbers. Like what's really important for me this time is to find the real time value. And that's because all our products, the ACES ratio is also predicated on finding real time value. So we can't have any tokens locked up or anything like that. I think somebody, not in this AMA, but they mentioned, oh, there's 125 million tokens for Treasury. No. That 125 million tokens is for pairing it with the funds in the bonding curve to create the liquidity pool from day one. And if you're willing to sell, you guys, honestly, we should fucking make another channel that says, I'm a jeeter. And if you want to jeet, find somebody else that wants to buy it. Because I know a lot of people on this list that want to buy more ACES. Yeah, funny. Yeah, I actually, fuck it. I think I really want to do that. Create a jeeter channel. I'm a jeet. I'm selling. You know how a lot of these places have like buy bots? Oh, someone bought. I want to fucking make a cheat bot. This person's a jeeter. Yeah, I know. It's fun. Let's do some cool shit, guys. We're gonna shame people into having diamond hands, but it's gonna be better for them in the long run. Jeet Tinders. create like, swipe left if you're jeeter, swipe right if you're diamond hands. We should just make that for fun. Come on, guys, more questions. All right, while I'm waiting for more questions, y'all, I would really appreciate it if you all could go to friends and family and let them know what we're doing. Again, this isn't just some random meme coin community. We actually have real world assets, things that people love, things that people endear, things that people think that they're unattainable, they can't access it because they're worth millions of dollars. They could be part of culture and own a part of an item and be part of that community. So I could even see these sub communities coming along. So let your friends and family know. Send them to our Telegram so they can be part and know if any of their favorite products are coming. In fact, on our website we do have a part on the bottom left that says, "Hey, if you want a product that's not listed here, let us know what you want." Eric, Julian, I think we should create one here too, looking for different products and have like a request form, and it'll be interesting to see what people want to see tokenized. We should definitely capture that data. So please, everybody, right now, just get on your Telegram, go to 3 of your friends, tell them to join, send them the link. Julian, can you put the join link of Telegram in this chat so people have it, so they could copy and paste it? Go let your friends and family know. We're not telling them to buy shit. I don't need them to buy an ACES token. You don't need to take on that responsibility, right? The product will speak for itself. All I want them to do is come in here so we could have an opportunity to talk about what we're doing and get excited. And if they want to make a purchase and get into the ACES ecosystem, that's on them, right? So we don't want to show people to go buy anything. We just want them to join our community. That's all we're asking for. If you could do that, I will really, really, really appreciate it. I'll be very grateful for that. Yeah, so Masterworks is one of our Web2 competitors. The thing with fractional ownership is it sucks. It doesn't work in crypto because of the legal barrier. You're going to have to, if you do fractional ownership, you have to be accredited investor. You have to create an LLC. The LLC needs to buy the item. You're buying shares into an LLC, not the item itself. You're going to have to custody it and put it into a place. It's a really clusterfuck of a way. So for clarity, like with ACES, we create a digital identity of the actual product, right? So you have the physical product, we create a digital identity product. You're buying the part of the digital identity that's tied to the actual product. And then whenever the actual product gets sold, part of those proceeds will go into the digital identity, which then gets distributed amongst everybody else. We did this for legal reasons, and now everybody can participate. Like on Masterworks or on Rally.io, you need to be an accredited investor to buy any of this stuff, so we're not doing fractional ownership. I want to ask when we're going to be able to buy and sell, like put our products online. Plus, must I have a token holder volume of ACES? Do I need to? Okay, I don't know about this English, but I think I got the question. When am I going to be able to buy and sell physical products on our website by the end of September? Plus, I must. Okay, in order for you to create a token, you're going to have a little ACES. The first few we're going to seed and help them get going. But yeah, like in order for you to be part of the ecosystem and be able to trade and speculate on the future value of any of these things, you're going to need to have ACES. Even if you don't have ACES, our platform will be able to route whatever currency you have into ACES as long as it's EVM or ERC20 coin. Yeah, yeah. So exactly, the Masterworks has a lot of like a lot of red tape. This is the biggest issues we've had with like Masterworks, trade, Rally, even some of the auction houses like Christie's, RM, Sotheby's, etc. They're very cumbersome, and because of the legal reasons, they have to custody it and hold it themselves for sometimes months or years, like Sandy you were saying. So yeah, that is something that we do not want to do. We want to democratize and have fully liquid market for any of these items for everybody without any type of red tape or legal BS that we're going to have to deal with. And this is the way we do it is because we create a digital identity of the actual product, and you're buying and selling on the digital identity, but then we tie the digital identity to the actual real product. So it's a pretty elegant and well thought out process. All right, everybody, if you've shared it with your friends or family, give me a thumbs up on the link. If you haven't done it now, if you're just tuning in, please share the community. Again, we're not asking you to go tell people to buy an ACES coin or anything like that. Just tell them, hey, this is a really cool community that's going to be tokenizing art or rare collectibles or vintage cars. Just come in here so you could see history happening. Please give me a thumbs up when you've shared it to your friends. All we want is to add more people into our community. That's all we're asking. Yeah, let's go, Goosey. Let's get some Larry Fink action in here. I could actually see him being a seller on our platform. While you're at it, get Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary. He's a big collector. Get Steve Aoki. He's a big collector. Maybe we're talking to them. Maybe we're not. Maybe we're getting connected to them. We'll see. Yeah. He has a pretty like wines are crazy. Some of those collections are like worth like hundreds of millions of dollars. Champagne too, champagne and wine. All right, we got 5 thumbs up, guys. Come on, let's go. Let's get the 10. I know we could do it, but if you haven't shared with your friends, please do it now. Again, all we're asking is send them the link, join our Telegram. Not asking them to buy anything. It's not going to cost your friends anything. Uh, they'll just get some good times and some good memes and content while we keep on posting them in our channels here. Surprisingly, I have a lot of friends, a lot of users that reached out to me that were like, hey, we want to come list some cards. Like, I don't know if you saw, but the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant card that were autographed, it just sold for $12.5 million. So there are a lot of card collectors that want to come in and sell, but we don't have one yet. But we have some people working sourcing them right now, and there's conversations happening. Yeah, $12.5 million for a signed Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan card. It just sold literally like last week. Yeah, we're up to 7 or 8 or 9 thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Are we over? I could still go, guys, if you have more questions for me. Yeah, we started 10 minutes late, so we'll give everybody 5 more minutes. But if there's no more questions, we can make it a wrap. We have some older guys in here, like members from the community. I don't know if Kenny, can you speak, or Dexlexic Duck? It'd be kind of interesting to hear some of your questions. All right, guys, that's cool. All right, Kenny's got some more questions. If Quack Quack wants to ask, that's cool, but it looks like he got it all out. I'm kind of scared of Kenny's questions, honestly. It's not who killed Kenny. It's like, who's Kenny going to kill? Wow, that's a nice compliment. Thank you. Thank you, Kenny. He was saying that it was very clearly explained. Give a thumbs up on Kenny's tweet if you think that everything was very clearly explained. Come on, guys. There's only one thumbs up. Thumbs up that post if you think everything was clearly explained. And if it wasn't clearly explained, then ask, so then I can get a second attempt. Come on, guys. Can I get some love? Give me a thumbs up. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Can we get a couple more? All right. It looks like we're going to wrap up. It's a wrap. Appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. See you guys next week. We'll be here same time. Take it easy.